It's ready for skulls, boy. Oh yeah.
What we do here is go back.
Alright guys, so welcome back to another episode of Mike's Brush. And today, in today's episode, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start spraying skulls all over here. So most of the truck is pink, right? I did have enough to cover most of the roof, or all of the roof really, with the pink. And then we had to fade in with the blue here, and fading into the dark black, which I thought would look sick because we're going to have these nice graphics kind of cutting in between all the colors, and it'll give us an excuse to do black skulls all over that, and then come in and do like some reverse, skulls in white in this area. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and reduce up some, I'm gonna mix up some 4051 Createx with some illustration opaque black. We are going to reduce it down with 4011 just a tad, and then I'm going to go ahead and start with the black right here in this pink area and just kind of go all the way around to the other pink area in the back over there. Not really going to touch much of the roof. We're going to leave the roof alone. I'm really not getting paid all that much to do this, so we are saving a bunch of money by not having to buy a bunch of materials and stuff. But I kind of did go a little ham, added extra graphics, which it's a little extra work, but it's gonna look nice. And we're saving the money on the paint, so we're investing it back into labor. So yeah, we'll have all this area to throw the white reverse skulls in. You see all the way past the driver's door there, and then we could fade them into black. But we're gonna leave the roof alone. Again, it has airbags, so when they tilt the roof and stuff like that, you'll be able to see those nice graphics up there. Otherwise, when it's just sitting like all the way down, it's almost at my height, right? It's almost there. But yeah, all we're gonna do now is load up the black, and I'm gonna go all the way around with the black around the side here, kind of fade them going up here on these pillars, and all the way around. And then we'll come back with the white. Simple, nice, easy way to do it. It's gonna look good. I'm excited. Let's get to it. guys, so we got all the black skulls in. I unmasked this side just so I could see, and as you guys can tell, it looks really good. I'm really happy with the way it's coming out. What I'm gonna do now is load up some white, and we're just gonna add skulls. You see how it goes from like that blue, that purple, pink, purple, blue, black. So I'm gonna do skulls kind of just barely kind of up into the black. So here up into this area, and then I'm probably gonna stop them right there. The reason I want to leave black is because we're gonna throw flake, and the flake's gonna look super amazing over that black. So I don't want to cover the black completely. We just want to go up. Again, we're gonna bring white skulls, maybe do a little white highlights on some of those, going down just a little bit, and then bring them in just a little bit into the black, like right here, and then just stop it right there. And that'll be that, and it'll be ready for some flake. So let's go ahead and mix up some white. Again, same kind of process. I'm gonna use a little bit of 4051, a little bit of 4011, and some illustration opaque white. Gonna let it sit in the bowl for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Let it kind of reduce up really good, and then get it in there. We're not gonna make them super bright, but they're gonna be white, so they're gonna be noticeable anyway. But we're gonna just make them look real nice, kind of going up in there. So I think that'll just set it off, give it the extra flair, especially if we have them coming up like a little bit right here. Then we have the black, and it's gonna be all flake. The same thing on this side, just a little bit of white skulls, kind of blending into all the black skulls. So yeah, and then once we throw the clear, all the metallic from all the paint, it's gonna come shining back. You can kind of see it already, but once we throw the flake and the clear and everything, it's really gonna be sparkly and stuff. So anyway, let's get that white going and get it done. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got all the skulls in there. We got all the colors, we got everything unmasked. I think it looks pretty sweet so far. But now what we're gonna do is mix up some clear. So I got some big, huge mixing cups here. And what I'm gonna do is mix up 2 big batches. So I'm gonna have to do some cleanup after this. But I'm gonna mix up 2 big batches of clear, one with flake in it and one with no flake in it. So whenever I spray flake, I like to spray a really thick coat with flake, and then I like to let that set, like really let it dry. Not completely, but most of the way, so that the flake actually sits, and then from there I'll do like a couple of coats of clear with no flake. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'm just gonna mix up some of this Wanda 8100 2K clear. I did buy a fresh gallon. Oh, it's over there. clear for this as well. And the flakes we're going to be using are these Did Spade metal flakes. I'm going to use some of this lightning bud, and we're going to use some of the Indiglo. We're going to do about a half and half mixture into the flake, and that'll make it really sparkly. And like I said, we left this whole black area here and stuff so that it sparkles real good. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and flake it up, clear it up, and we'll see what it looks like when it's finished. And if all goes good, that'll be the end of the episode, and then we can focus on some other stuff. So anyway, let's get this wrapped up, and yeah, let's get it wrapped up. Let's finish it up. I'm ready to finish it up. Alright guys, so we got her done. I sent her out. And actually, I was only able to get a few shots of it. I literally cleared it one day and it sat. The next day, you know, just letting it dry. Didn't really want to mess with it too much. And then the day after, like, he was literally here at 7 in the morning to pick it up before I had a chance to, like, you know, I was still sipping my morning coffee. So I didn't get too many shots of it at the end, but I did get a few. I'll be playing those for you guys here. But as you can see, this place is a mess again. So I'm just gonna do a little movie magic. I'll spare you guys the time lapse and everything, but I'll get this place cleaned up real quick. So let me just you know, snap my finger and get that all done. You know, I gotta wish really hard that this works again, because the first time I wasn't sure, but you know, got the power. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, so got it all cleaned up. I kind of washed off the floor. The Camaro came in and out, so I left some tracks, but there's pretty much no overspray. I like taking the leaf blower. It's a pro tip. You see the leaf blower on there? It gets used about twice a year for leaves. The rest of the time I just everything gets blown off. I try to have everything, like, these are like screwed in. You can see the screws up there. I'm trying to, like, everything, all the dust be gone. I didn't get a chance to reorganize the paints too much, but for the most part, I'd say, you know, it's back to being reset. It's ready for the next job. But the next job doesn't come in for a couple weeks. So we have a couple weeks to kind of take a breather. Whew, finally, I needed a breather. And so I'm gonna take the rest of this video to actually just give you guys some quick airbrush tips. So let me get this kind of organized up real quick. Just take a second. Again, a little movie magic. We'll come right back, and then we'll go over a few things, or just a quick little lesson, you know, a quick little actual airbrush thing for you guys to enjoy. So that's kind of how I'm going to end off this episode. I actually have some airbrush orders, but that'll be in the next episode. For today's episode, we'll just go over some quick little control techniques. So everybody always asks, you know, how do you get better at controlling your finger, developing lines and such and such. I'm just going to go over a quick little practice. I've gone over it a bunch of times, but I know you know, it'll help some more people just to see it again, or fresh eyes, you know, new people coming across the channel or across the video. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Like I said, let me come back, a little movie magic, and we'll make it happen. So. All right, guys. So we're gonna going to be practicing on paper towels as always. And I just want to go over with you guys a quick little exercise you can do if you're having trouble like really coming up with fine lines, or getting your finger control down. And maybe you see some of my videos and they get messages like this all the time. How do you make the fine lines and the thick lines and everything without having to adjust your needle? Which is kind of funny to me, you know, because it shows that somebody's never used the tool. But just in case, you know, maybe you're new around here in the channel, or maybe you've been practicing a lot and you just need another different practice, this is a good one to develop finger control and be able to produce some thick lines, some thin lines, everything in between, and get yourself, you know, a little bit more comfortable using your airbrush just in general. So it's a good finger control practice, really. And all I'm doing is using a little bit of spray adhesive here to stick on some paper towels, and I like using all these white ones because it's easy to see when we're going to be painting. And I'm just going to use my Wada Eclipse here, HPCS. And there's just a little bit of water there. I've talked over before how I like to leave them a little bit wet. So all I'm going to do is take some black. I'm not going to reduce it or anything. Our pressure is set to 30 psi right now. Right, so I'm just going to take some black. This is wicked black. I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to lift, you know, maybe about half the cup. Put the lid on. Make sure the lid's on. Right, make sure the paint's flowing through. Pretty good. So one good thing to practice always is making dots. And again, I see a lot of people that do this, you know, pushing down on the air. The key thing when you practice this that I want to stress to you to do is to not let go of the air. So you want to hold down the air the whole time you're spraying, and as you're spraying you want to stop, pull back on the trigger, get the dot, and then move on to the next dot again without letting go of the air. So something like this. Now another thing I want to stress is that you keep them nice and in line. You keep the spacing about the same for all of them. I don't want to see lines going up and down. I don't want to see squiggly lines. I don't want to see a bunch and then separate. Make them all uniform. This is going to go into the overall practice, right? So if you know how to make this dot, you know how to make a line. So we're going to make a line right underneath that. Again, I want you to use your hips. It's a good exercise to do while you're standing. Using your hips, make sure that you're going to kind of get a nice straight swivel across. You know, if you try to use your arms too much, you could be really good with it, but sometimes you know, you're going to get squiggles or random stuff. Not only that, but if your arm bumps into something, it's really going to show. So using your hips is a pretty good way of getting a twist. We're going to leave a little bit of space, about the same space we left between the dots at the bottom here. I'm just going to make a line. And then we're going to continue on with the dots. Another row of dots, again, leave some space. Don't be afraid to get in close with your airbrush. So I see a lot of people trying to make dots from far away and stuff. If you notice, I'm really up close on this surface. Like my needle is maybe 5 millimeters away, maybe even closer than that. And I'm just pulling back on the trigger just a little bit, getting the dot. And it's not just about feeling out how far you pull back, you also want to use your eyes. So when you see that dot start to shape, you know, pull it back and then you let it go, depending on what you need to do. Again, make our next line. Dots again. Again, the key thing is to not let go of the air. The whole thing is you want to get your finger used to pulling back and letting go, pulling back, letting go, without letting go of that air, and doing it in a controlled manner so that when you go to paint something, then your mind is already controlled, like it knows when to control the airbrush, right? So your mind is already ready, like this is when I have to pull the trigger, this is when I have to let it go. And you're not so hesitant as to when to start your line and when to stop it. So again, start your line. Yeah, maybe that was a little too spaced, but it's okay. Something like that, right? So now that we have our lines laid down, we could go ahead and practice our E shape. So our E shape is we're going to start from a thin line, we're going to go to a thick line, and back to a thin line, and back to a thick line, something like this. So once you kind of have it down, right, you want to practice one, do a thin stroke going up, move back a little bit, pull a little bit farther back on the trigger at the same time, come down, and as you hit this, you want to start moving a little bit forward, and also just letting go of the trigger slightly, and again, and again, and again, again, and again, and again. And you kind of got to get it to where you can just do it like clockwork. Again, the key word here is not let go of the air. You want constant air pressure the whole way. Again, we're trying to maximize the usage of the paper, so use your lines that you just drew and your nice little, kind of like a notebook paper here, and do your E shape, going down and up, thin down, thick up, thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up. And eventually you'll get these to where you can just, whoa, slow myself down just enough. Eventually you can get them down to where you can just do them one after the other constantly and consistently. Again, you want to see them about the same spacing, you want to make them about the same thickness, the same thin going up, and make them look really nice and clean. So the whole point of this is, again, to develop your finger control. You'll know how far and how close you have to be with the airbrush, as well as how far back you have to pull and when to let go of the trigger. So it's a good little exercise. Again, if you're having trouble, maybe you want to do a lot of lettering, or you like doing like cartoon figures on shirts and stuff like that, this will help you do all the lines and all the shading and all the cool stuff on those shirts. It's really useful for pretty much all the artwork, no matter what you're going to do. If you're really hooked on stencils, one of the trends I've seen lately is people make stencils and then they cut out the lines for the actual character in the stencil, which is like, bad artist, bad. I don't mind, if you have it mapped out, but then you want to lay down and actually freehand all your lines in. It makes it look nice and crisp. It shows that you can actually paint the lines as opposed to just laying down a stencil, going over and taking it off, and then the lines that are there are what's left. I've seen that quite a bit. It's quite lazy, to be honest with you. So I really like to see more people actually draw their lines in and get really nice and get good with their airbrush before deciding to do too many designs that need lines and stuff and they can't achieve them. So anyway, we're gonna end today's episode with this cool little exercise. Get your lines down, get them all in, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Later.